Bonjour à toutes et à tous. Merci de nous avoir rejoints pour ce débat en ligne consacré au film Résonance du cinéaste israélien Itai Marom. Itai Marom est aussi directeur de la photographie et plasticien. Il a tourné de nombreux longs métrages documentaires et courts métrages comme directeur de la photographie. Il était également collaborateur avec des cinéastes tels que Nourit Aviv et Ran Tal. Depuis 2014, il réalise ses propres films. Alors, pour les spectateurs, vous pouvez poser vos questions, soit en appuyant sur l'icône de la petite main bleue que vous trouvez en bas de votre écran, ou en rédigeant votre question en allant sur l'icône Q&R en bas aussi de votre écran. Elles seront posées par Barberine et Ludmila. Le débat avec Itai Marom est animé par Monique Larose-Travers, conservatrice des bibliothèques et membre du comité de sélection du festival Jean Rouch. Et les traductions sont assurées par Molly Proctor. Sans perdre de temps, je vous souhaite un grand merci à vous deux pour avoir accepté notre invitation et je vous cède la parole. À toi Monique, à vous Itai.
Hello.
Hello, Itai. I'm very glad to have the possibility to talk to you because I like your film so much. And I hear you're a visual artist. Are you also a musician?
I was a musician. I used to play the cello, like when I was between the age 10 and 20. So I was learning to become a musician, but I quit.
Uh-huh. So this is probably why you have such an intimate relationship with music.
Yes. This film started from my childhood memories and from my experience. Yes.
So you were not a singer, just an instrumental.
Yes, I was. Yes, I played the cello and the recorder, like the blockflute, and my grandfather was actually a musician. He was a conductor of choir of children choirs, and also he also taught recorders. He wrote many books about recorders, and he was a very famous teacher for music. Like when Israel was very like in the beginning, anyway, in the 50s or the 60s, he was very famous. He had television shows for teaching music for children, and so this film is a lot about him also in a way, because it's a lot about this connection between music teachers and the students, and this is very interesting and intimate relationship between grown-up and a young person, and it's not verbal, and it's very sensual, very physical, and all these memories from childhood, all these physical memories and all this intimacy, all these emotions that comes with the music. This was the
starting point.
In a way, yes.
In a way.
To articulate this very specific connection. Yeah.
Donc, excuse-moi, Monique.
Pardon, vas-y, oui, bien sûr, désolée.
Donc, Itai Marom était lui-même musicien à son enfance, mais il pense surtout avoir été inspiré par son grand-père qui dirigeait un orchestre pour enfants et était visiblement connu dans les années 50-60 par des émissions télévisées sur la musique et le chant. Et c'est comme ça qu'il s'est intéressé à la relation intime entre maître et élève et surtout sur l'aspect sensuel et physique qui relie chacun par la musique.
Before we go on to the relationship between teacher and students, I'd like to point out there is a progression in the film from the technical aspects of singing towards interpretation. Okay, and can we talk a little bit first about the way you looked at the technical aspects of music, of singing, and using many close-ups, and I'm interested in the way you practiced.
when I started to do the film, I didn't want to do a film about singers. I wanted to do a film about a musician and their teachers. I didn't think about specifically about singers, but the more and more I did the research, I found out that in singing, it's so interesting because of course the body is the instrument, and it was very important to me. And then when I started filming, I realized all these warm-ups in the beginning, all this tuning your instrument in a way, tuning your body, tuning your instrument was very interesting for me, because somehow this very abstract thing, hearing this only the warm-ups, the scales, it showed how the inner body goes out in a way. It shows it really makes it very clear how the voice is actually connecting the inner body and the outside. It comes from inside and goes outside and really expose the what's happening inside the body. So this was very interesting for me. Also cinematically, in a way, this thing that happens inside and you don't see it, and it comes out and exposes something that you cannot see, was very interesting for me. So when I was like building or creating the shape of the film, I decided to start from this point to make it very clear this thing which is, it was very problematic because it's very boring in a way sometimes to watch it. People doing warm-ups forever, it's very abstract and could be a little bit boring in a way, but it was very important for me to really establish this phenomena. And then from there on, I moved to things that are more about interpretation and more about expression and more about communication. But this very basic thing of really creating a voice from your inside and let it out. That's why the beginning is very focused on this, on the technical side, which is, yeah.
Traduction?
Oui. Alors, oui, donc au départ, Itai Marom ne voulait pas forcément faire un film sur les chanteurs, mais plutôt sur s'intéresser aux musiciens. Et il s'est rendu compte qu'en fait, le corps pouvait en lui-même être un instrument assez remarquable et qu'on pouvait y trouver aussi un intérêt pour la technique. Donc, il a décidé ensuite de s'intéresser au chant et de montrer l'échauffement du corps, comment entraîner sa voix, entraîner son propre instrument. Et un autre rapport l'intéressait avec l'intériorisation et l'extériorisation de cette voix. Une chose assez abstraite, mais qui pour lui paraissait important, même si il avait peur que ça soit ennuyeux. Alors, je ne pense pas que ce soit forcément le cas. Mais oui, donc il a tout d'abord voulu parler de l'échauffement et ensuite s'intéresser à l'interprétation, l'expression et la communication dans le cadre du chant.
I don't think it's boring at all. I think that many viewers will understand a lot about the way singers have to practice. And it's especially interesting to see the gestures that they have to accompany the voice and the use of the mirrors. And it comes out very well in the film on the camera. And could you tell us a little bit about this?
I don't know if I can say a lot about it because it's something very visual. This when the singer has to look at himself all the time, to mirror himself, to watch himself doing these things, and how he controlled the body, how he controlled this instrument.
But the way you made it possible for the viewer to understand, and that's what's interesting.
Yeah, I there was something very beautiful visually in this, the fact that there is all the time this mirror, this on one hand there is the mirror, and on the other hand there is the teacher, and they are both mirroring what's happening to you, and you're all the time between the mirror and the teacher. So I mean, it's very visual. I don't know how to put it in words, to put more words in it, in a way.
But you had to be very, very close to the singer, to the teacher when you filmed, or?
Yes, there was a lot of intimacy in the class while I was shooting. It like every other documentarist, you know, you have to approach very slowly and to have this trust, and you get this trust, and you can move, and you can get closer and closer because they trust you, and in a way something in the class has changed since I'm inside. There is a different atmosphere. It's not anymore like two people in a room. It's like three people, and there is this relationship between three people. Me with the camera, the singer, and the teacher and the student. And there was some kind of very interesting relationship between the three of us. And I think they enjoyed it. I felt that they're enjoying my presence. Yes, they were acting differently when I was there. They were acting differently, and they enjoyed it, and there was some kind of really intimate relationship between the three of us. And you have to remember that the singers are also performers. They're not exactly musicians. There's something in between a musician and an actor, and they really enjoy being watched. So I think that's also a reason why they enjoyed my presence in the room.
Pour ce qui est de la gestuelle et l'usage des miroirs, il ne savait pas très bien trouver les mots pour expliquer le phénomène, mais il trouve qu'il y a, puisque ça paraît évident à l'écran en fait, de voir qu'il y a le contrôle du corps avec donc le chanteur qui est fait face à soi, mais aussi qui est face également au professeur. Et il y a un rapport assez intime qui se crée, également parce que lui empiète sur la relation professeur-élève. Et donc, il parlait également de l'approche en douceur pour se rapprocher et petit à petit être digne de leur confiance. Et a remarqué que l'atmosphère avait légèrement changé par le fait qu'il y ait une relation avec 3 acteurs cette fois-ci. Et trouve que l'expérience a été plutôt bien appréciée du fait de sa présence et du fait aussi que les chanteurs aiment être vus car ils sont dans la performance.
Could you tell us a little bit about the choice that you made of having these close-ups, very, very close, and at times showing the corridors and the facade of the building?
Yeah, I really like this when I was in the schools, in the academies, in the music academies, there was a feeling of some kind of organ, because you're walking in the corridors and you're hearing all the sounds from all the rooms, and it became like another body in a way. It felt like I'm walking in a body which has its life in a way, and I wanted to capture it. I enjoy this organ, some kind of like the building is a body. It's like 3 different academies actually.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed the architecture and the way all the voices are coming from the architecture. That's one thing. And another thing was, for me, that was important in this architecture and in the atmosphere of the class is that there was some kind of a contrast between this very spiritual, beautiful thing that you do, which is music, and the fact that they are actually going to work. They are going to work, and it's like a factory. It's like everybody has its room and they are coming to work in a certain hour, doing their work, going out. It's like exactly like there was something very that I enjoy, this contrast between very spiritual work on one hand and which happens like in a factory, and they are working very hard, like as if they are carving a stone or something like that. They are really like working hard, and it's not like they're going and they're doing this beautiful thing and making people cry, and they're actually just working very, very hard for many years. And I wanted to show this contrast. So that's another reason for showing this very white, cold building, sometimes this concrete. Yeah.
Deux éléments le fascinaient beaucoup avec le bâtiment en lui-même, son architecture, à la fois le fait d'être entouré des cacophonies, du bruit provenant de chaque pièce, le fait, comme il précise, il y avait 3 académies au sein du même bâtiment, et que l'école devenait en quelque sorte un corps où on entendait chaque organe, chaque partie produire son propre bruit, battre à sa manière. Et le deuxième aspect qu'il aimait beaucoup avec le bâtiment, c'était le contraste entre la spiritualité de l'art et aussi le fait qu'il y avait tout de même un rythme de vie du concret, avec des personnes allant au travail, les professeurs qui enseignaient, c'était leur métier. Donc ce contraste entre la spiritualité et l'aspect très matériel et concret du travail.
Before we move on to talking about interpretation and the relationship between student and teacher, I'd like to find out how you picked out these 3 teachers and their students.
I did a research there. I was for 2 months. I was just visiting I had a researcher, and I was visiting several schools and academies, and I was watching quite a lot of teachers. And I went to their concerts, and I saw many others, many other students and teachers. The reason I chose them is I can say each one of them is a little bit different. But I enjoyed when I could see the work, when I could see when I could hear the struggle, because when you hear the struggle, you can actually feel the way the voice. It's not evident because when we are thinking about voice, or we are using voice all the time right now, and we are not thinking about this phenomenon. But when you see someone who is trying to speak, but he cannot speak, but when he's struggling to make a voice, you can actually feel the mechanism. So I picked up the students which I felt they are having this problems, issues, that they have to work on it. They have to shape it. They have to actually work with their body and to create this beautiful sound. So I purposely, I didn't choose the best singers. That was very clear for me. There was even another student that I actually shot for a long time, which and in the editing I decided to take her out because she just sang too beautiful. It was just amazing. It was every lesson I was just amazed. She used to sing Mahler, and I could cry like while I was shooting because she sang so beautiful. But it was just not interesting for the film, and not the thing that I wanted to tell.
Pour répondre à la question de comment Itai Marom a choisi, a sélectionné les élèves, il répond qu'auparavant, il avait visité plusieurs écoles et avait fait la rencontre de nombreux profs et élèves, avait même assisté à certains concerts. Et il se rend compte que chaque personnage du film est unique et Et à l'écran est retranscrit la lutte pour vraiment mettre en marche le mécanisme du corps et arriver à la voix parfaite. Et il se rend bien compte qu'il n'a pas choisi les meilleurs chanteurs. Il a même d'ailleurs suivi une élève pendant longtemps, mais s'est rendu compte qu'elle chantait trop bien et en était trop émue, et il préférait montrer la lutte d'élèves moins doués, et, ou dont la lutte était apparente à l'écran.
If we talk about interpretation, it's quite interesting that the woman teacher, Mechtild, says that you have to build up your piece before you actually live it, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you show that in a very interesting manner, but I'd like to hear a little bit more about it.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Mechtild is the very German teacher. The other two teachers are from British origins. Konrad Journo and Rachel Robbins. They both came from England to Germany, but Mechtild is German, and her student in the film is Nedi Alkopiv, and he had the most problems. He really was struggling with his voice that couldn't, and he could not project the voice that he wanted to project. And so he was very good example for me, and she had to work very hard with him to actually build this technique in order to move on to music. But he had to build this technique to work on his body in order to move on and to sing these beautiful pieces. Yeah, so he was very good protagonist for me.
Pardon. Itai Marom voulait revenir sur l'élève qui avait le plus de difficultés, qui est suivi par l'enseignante allemande. Il y avait deux des enseignants du film sont britanniques, mais ici il parle de celle qui est allemande, et il dit qu'elle avait beaucoup de mal à le pousser pour qu'il projette sa voix, et donc c'était un travail très inspirant de montrer vraiment le parcours de cet élève en difficulté.
There is this extraordinary moment when Nedi is singing, and actually you shoot Mechtild as if she was singing, because she has like lip dubbing. It's extraordinary. Does she do it often, or is it just?
It happens a lot, and it's a very cinematic thing.
Yes.
I really enjoyed it because you see the teacher, but he's like doing the dubbing of the singing of the students. So you actually watch him, and you are not sure if the voice is coming from his mouth or not. So there was something very. It was funny, and I enjoyed this part. Yes, and somehow it was very cinematic. These ideas between voice and image, and how the voice connects with the image. It's a film I enjoy a lot when I'm doing films, to combine different voices, different sounds with different images. But when you're shooting singers, it's always sync sound. It has to be sync sound because you're seeing the lip sync, and you want to hear them. So you don't have this freedom, this cinematic freedom to use different sounds with different images and to create something in the editing, because you have to use the sync sound. And these parts, when the teacher is like dubbing, singing without voice, what the student is singing was I really enjoy this part. Yeah.
On est revenu sur le moment où l'enseignante allemande imite Mehdi qui chante en hors-champ, et dit que c'est un moment assez cinématographique et bien sûr amusant de voir le fait de ne pas synchroniser le visuel et le chant. Donc, il voulait présenter ce moment comme étant assez cinématographique dans le film.
Et drôle.
Oui, oui, drôle.
Yes, I'd like to talk a little bit about about passing on, because I suppose that these teachers have been students themselves, and there is a tradition in music that tradition is passed on from teacher to student. Could you comment about this?
It's interesting. It's true and it's interesting, but I don't know much about the way that these teachers were taught. So I can't exactly tell what they are passing on to their students. But there is this culture of teaching, which is very interesting, because the teacher is becoming a role model. There is something very, in this relationship, there is something which is not, it's very, I have to find the words. It's not even at all. There is somebody who has the power in the class. He is talking all the time. The student is not talking almost at all during the lessons. And there is something very, he has a lot of power there on the student. And this was something very interesting for me also, because these teachers are teaching like for sometimes 20, 30 years. And most of the day they're communicating in this way. And I was thinking all the time, what happens to a teacher when he's like, most of his communication in his life for 20 or 30 years is like not even. It's with someone who is like all the time looking at you from below. And something about this relationship was very interesting. What happens to teachers during the years? It was like my thoughts a lot about it. Also about my grandfather. He used to spend most of his life with people who are sometimes 50, 40 years younger than him. And what happened to you when you're like most of your life communicating this way? So this is also something interesting about this, because they were also students when they were young, and how do they imitate this kind of role model, this authorship, yeah. I can't find the exact words, but almost.
Itai Marom ne sait pas exactement comment a été formés les enseignants, mais dit tout de même qu'il y a c'est inscrit dans la culture, cette idée d'enseigner, que l'enseignant devienne non seulement un mentor, mais ensuite un modèle pour des individus beaucoup plus jeunes qu'eux. Et donc, revenez sur le fait que certains enseignent depuis 20 à 30 ans, et qu'un rapport hiérarchique se crée un rapport hiérarchique, mais tout de même amical, hein. Et a fait ensuite un parallèle avec son grand-père, qui lui-même travaillait avec des personnes beaucoup plus jeunes que lui. Donc oui, il y a tout de même quelque chose d'assez intéressant avec l'écart générationnel et cette idéalisation de l'enseignant.
You used the word model, and of course, we see that it's important, the role model, but also the teacher has to help the student to find his or her own way, and to use, as Conrad says, to use his emotions, his life, etc. And I like the way you showed it in the film. Same with the German teacher when she speaks about butter and olive oil, and it's a great moment.
Yeah, it was a very this specific lesson when this is a turning point for me. I don't know if it's for the viewers like that, but this moment in this specific class, they are singing Brahms, and when he's speaking about you have to use your life experience in your music. It was a moment when the very personal experience is out there, because before it was more abstract. It's really your inner breath is going out, but here it's like actually your life is connected with your body and with the music and with the lyrics, with the words of Heine in this case. So this specific lesson, when the very personal life are coming into the music, was very important for me. And then in the next lessons in the film, it's going there. It's going to this direction, to the very personal experience and how it reflects in the music and in the singing. Yeah.
Pour lui, pour le réalisateur, le moment où la jeune chanteuse chante Brahms, c'est qu'on lui demande de puiser sur son expérience personnelle. C'était vraiment un tournant pour lui, ce moment-là, de voir qu'on pouvait utiliser ses émotions, ses expériences passées pour vraiment améliorer son art et vraiment rendre de l'émotion, produire de l'émotion dans le chant. Et donc pour lui, voilà, ça montrait que tout était lié, que voilà, il fallait vraiment puiser sur son expérience, sa vie personnelle pour l'utiliser dans son travail.
And at the same time, there is a contradiction, because in the next scene, you see that she doesn't want to say too much about what's troubling her at the time, and so.
But at the same time, it's again the same thing. You understand there is something. She was going through something in her personal life, and the teacher knows her so well, so he can immediately see that, and it also affects her voice and her singing. Yes. I think in this moment, also in this Brahms lesson, the camera is becoming more free. I'm changing the lens. The screen becomes white. I wanted to show that there is everything is more personal and is more. I'm more present there, and they are more present there as humans and as people, that they have their experience and their. It's not a machine that's making this music. It's people that. And when you're a singer, that was like very interesting. If you had a bad day, it will show. I mean, it's not like you cannot. I mean, they are trained very well to hide it. But if you are after a breakup or somebody died very close to you died, it's very, very difficult to hide it. It will show through your breath, through your voice.
Donc oui, il voulait revenir sur cette idée que oui, pourtant, lorsqu'un chanteur, un artiste est bouleversé dans sa vie personnelle, ça se sent, et il y a cette transparence émotionnelle. Et il voulait aussi montrer le moment. Il parlait du moment où l'écran devenait blanc, pour montrer voilà, le summum, que l'émotion touchait à son paroxysme, et que qu'il y avait beaucoup plus de présence, que les chanteurs ne sont pas des machines, mais vraiment humains.
I like the progression, as I said at the beginning, from the technical aspects onto the interpretation. And you finished off with a wonderful piece by Schumann, and you let it come out from the beginning to the end, which I think is a great idea. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I felt that in this scene there was something in the class that was magical for me. It was like there was some kind of combination between everything was coming together in a way. The camera and the voice and everything became, and the words in the lyrics of the poem, yeah, everything like was uniting together to create this very beautiful song. So so for me it was like an ideal scene to end the film, because everything is like the technique and the interpretation and the personal and everything is like combining together. So there is something interesting about the filming of this. Was interesting for me, like when I was filming this lesson, the Conrad, the teacher, was telling her like shh, shh, more quiet and more quiet and more quiet, and then she starts very, very quietly and goes up. And I felt there is something super spiritual in the room at that moment, because there was something also in the frame and the lens and the way I was looking at her and the way her hand was moving inside the frame, that for me was, I was like, there were tears in my eyes while shooting it. And I felt there is something very, very spiritual in the room. But when I was just closing the camera, I realized it was only me and the camera that created this very spiritual. For them, it was just another lesson. For them, it was like working on the piece. So there was something interesting about the way that filming it and looking at it and framing it made it spiritual for me, and I hope for the audience. But for them, for the people who were in the room, it was like just another lesson. They didn't feel there anything special in this lesson. Yeah.
Nous étions en train de revenir sur la scène finale du film, que lui considère comme magique, puisque pour lui, tout semblait converger et que ça paraissait évident que ça soit en clôture du film. Et il disait justement que voilà, lui, il trouvait qu'il y avait quelque chose de très spirituel, un moment sacré dans ce moment dans la classe, mais que finalement, c'était simplement le produit du cadrage, de la caméra, puisque les autres personnes dans la pièce n'avaient été totalement indifférents au silence, à ce moment que lui trouvait spirituel. Donc, il y avait une question de point de vue et comment la caméra pouvait vraiment créer une certaine atmosphère.
I think there's something magic in this scene, actually, and the fact that the singer is shot against the sun somehow, and at the same time the poem talks about maybe the Middle Ages, maybe it's out of time. And it opens onto the trees outside. I think it's absolutely fabulous. Mm-hmm. Now, can you and also the poem and the song ends with the word she weeps. Mm-hmm. So yeah. That's the very end of the film. Beautiful. Now, at the very beginning, there is a long, not close-up, but a long image of St. John the Baptist by Leonardo. I have my own ideas about why he's there, but I'd like to find out why you put him there.
Yes, I always think if I should answer to it or not, because there is something in interpreting things for the audience which is like blocking things. But I can say that Leonardo's, I was reading a book about Leonardo while doing the film, about the anatomic drawings of Leonardo, and there was something about this book that was really like guiding me while doing the film. the way he was looking at the organs, and specifically in the anatomic drawings of Leonardo. So I was already like in some kind of relationship with Leonardo. Specifically, Saint John, specifically John the Baptist is in this picture. I felt it's just very, very accurate about what is this film about, because he's looking at John is just looking at the viewer. He's looking at the camera on one hand, and on the other hand, and with his hand, he's like pointing up.
Heaven.
There is these two axes, like looking at. On one hand, we are looking at each other in a way. It's me and you, and on the other hand, in between us, there is something which is pointing to God, to the spiritual, to. So it was just exactly what happens there in between these two people, and this spiritual thing that they are creating in between them, in this communication. So this picture was just some kind of the essence of the film in a way. Also, I don't want to misquote it, but there is like this quote of Paulus saying about John the Baptist that Jesus was don't get, it's probably not exactly, but that Jesus said the word, but John is the voice. Like the words are staying for forever, and the voice is something ephemeral, something which is like disappearing all the time. So in this, it's another meaning that was some kind of, for me, important, but nobody knows.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Donc, pour ce qu'il était de l'œuvre qui introduit le film, que lui considère comme l'essence du film, qui représente Saint Jean-Baptiste de Leonardo da Vinci. Donc, il s'avère qu'il lisait un livre sur Leonardo da Vinci durant le tournage, et c'est sûrement ça qui a éveillé ses questionnements sur le corps et sur l'organisme. Et voilà, donc il voulait montrer qu'entre le maître et l'élève, il y avait quelque chose de plus grand, de plus divin qui était entre eux. Et également, il citait, il dit qu'il paraphrase, mais que Jésus a dit le mot, mais Jean a la voix. Donc, voilà, qui fait écho un peu à ce que lui représente dans son film.
I may have other questions, but maybe the audience would like to ask questions.
Alors, on va peut-être prendre des questions, c'est cela?
Oui, c'est ça, oui.
Est-ce que parmi nos spectateurs, nos internautes, alors pour ceux qui veulent lever la main, allez-y. Est-ce qu'il y en a sur Facebook? Non. Alors moi, j'en ai une pour Itai Marom. Vous avez mis côte à côte trois enseignants, trois chanteurs enseignants. Est-ce que ça n'a pas été compliqué? Parce que, en général, dans le monde de la musique et de l'enseignement musical, on a ses secrets, on a sa technique à soi, et de la révéler à l'image comme ça, est-ce que ce n'était pas un problème pour eux de se laisser filmer? Molly, si tu veux bien traduire.
Oui. Laurent would like to know whether there was any trouble competitively wise, because you represent the work of 3 different teachers, and whether there was any problem to represent the teaching methods of each one of them.
Yes, a little bit. They were asking after the class, what did the other teachers say? They were like trying to find information from me about the other teachers, and how they wanted to know how will they be represented, I guess. But they were very generous with me in general. they were very generous, and I think they enjoyed like thinking that this thing that they are doing like only with their students, that that other people could see it, could see what they are doing, because they are always doing this thing like very privately, and mostly they wanted to show it. I had very few moments when the teacher told me just shut the camera, because they didn't want to expose their technique in a way. They didn't want to expose their secrets. But mostly they enjoyed it. They wanted the world to know about their attitude, about their technique. Yeah.
Donc, oui, il y avait quelques moments où les enseignants voulaient savoir ce qui avait été fait par d'autres, mais en soi, l'utiliser le réalisateur un peu comme infiltrant, mais il restait tout de même très aimable à son égard, et à certains moments ont été coupés à la volonté des enseignants pour pas révéler certaines méthodes de travail plus spécifiques, plus uniques, mais autrement, ils étaient plutôt contents de se révéler devant la caméra.
Ludmila, je pense que...
There are several questions from Flor de la Paladra with comments, so I read it. The construction of your speech makes it possible to clearly identify the actions, protagonist, in the plays, and its acme. The singing scenes are punctuated by graphic and atmospheric elements of the building and the school. And the question is, does this correspond to a desire for objectivity, frontality of the plans, and a desire to highlight repetition and the effort of students and teachers?
Could you repeat it? There's the question again, please.
The question, does this correspond to a desire for objectivity, frontality of the plans, and a desire to highlight repetition and the effort of students and teachers?
You can also read the question.
Yeah.
If you click on the Q and R just on the bottom.
Okay, thank you. 1 second, please. I want to, because not everything was clear to me.
Molly, tu veux la traduire pendant ce temps-là?
Yeah, well, oui, si vous voulez. Après, j'ai tout de même l'impression que ça renvoie un peu à ce que Monique demandait au départ, lorsque si la volonté de représenter le bâtiment était pour valoriser le travail des étudiants, le mettre en valeur. Je crois que c'est plutôt ça.
Mais peut-être les questions qui suivent n'ont pas été répondues par contre.
Est-ce que tu veux lire les questions qui suivent? Je peux les traduire si tu veux.
Traduire directement, je pense.
D'accord. Well, we're gonna go on to the next questions because I think we more or less answered the first one. Concerning the sound, the music is stage even if it can accompany the current way. What sound device did you use? Several microphones, a sound recordist. Donc la question, la personne souhaiterait savoir quel matériel a été utilisé pour la prise son. S'il y avait plusieurs micros, une personne, un perchman.
1 second. It's several questions. The easiest is to answer about the technical thing. It's just there were several microphones in the room. I was like putting them. I had my way to put it, but it was important for me to stay alone in the room. That's why I didn't use a sound recordist, and I did it alone with several microphones. Objectivity. That's interesting. What does she mean exactly? Because I didn't land this. There was not a really desire for objectivity, and I think there was a desire to show this to show the work and the method, and maybe that's why the repetitions, because it's something that really shows the work. These repetitions about things again and again, which I liked, but I think slowly that the objectivity is just falling apart in a way. What during the film, maybe in the beginning it feels like more objective, more like very just observing, but slowly just the camera itself also is just not objective anymore, and I can feel that it becomes very involved. The dramatic function of the pieces, yes, very much. For me, the words of the lyrics are very important in the meaning of the scene. I know that it's very difficult for sometimes for audience to in the first time they're watching the film to get these layers of the meaning of the lyrics. But I hope if some people are watching the film second time or the third time, there are meanings there that are very important for me in the lyrics of the poems, yeah, of the songs. Yeah.
Donc, je vais revenir sur les 3 questions. Donc, la première sur l'équipement, il y avait plusieurs micros éparpillés dans les pièces, mais il était le seul à enregistrer, était le seul à manier l'équipement. Pour ce qui était de l'objectivité, il ne trouve pas qu'il y avait pas forcément de volonté à être objectif, puisque pour lui, la caméra perd de son objectivité, puisqu'elle est de plus en plus impliquée dans les scènes. Et pour les paroles, les paroles pour lui, oui, ont un sens et importent beaucoup dans les scènes et peuvent enrichir l'interprétation des moments.
Y a-t-il encore des questions? Non? Alors moi, j'en aurais une pour Itai. À nouveau, je reprends la parole. Et est-ce qu'il est toujours en contact avec ses enseignants? Et est-ce que, si c'était le cas, est-ce qu'il pourrait nous dire comment ça se passe? Parce qu'actuellement, avec le Covid, et c'est un problème pour les chanteurs d'ailleurs, aussi bien à l'opéra que pour les chorales, c'est que le chant, ça produit des postillons. Voilà, donc, est-ce qu'il pourrait nous en parler s'il le sait, bien sûr?
Laurent, I think Monique wanted to ask the same question. Almost. If you were still in contact with the teachers, and if so, do you know how they are working in the current situation due to the sanitary restrictions? How can they possibly sing without, how can they possibly keep on singing in such a restrictive environment due to the COVID, of course?
The last time I was in touch with one of the teachers was in January. I had a screening in Düsseldorf, and two of the teachers came there and 2 of the students, but it was before the Corona. But since then I'm in touch with 2 students from the film, and they are not students anymore, they finished, but for performers at the moment, it's like a very, very difficult times. It's like maybe more than I don't know, more than everyone else, but for them, like all the opera houses are closed and no jobs, nothing. It's like they studied, they finished, and there is nothing outside. So it's for the students, it's a very difficult situation. Just there is nothing they can do. Some of them are I know actually about one of them who's actually teaching in Zoom, teaching singing in Zoom, but I guess it's almost impossible.
And in the same line, I wanted to ask about the scene when the teacher Conrad is so close to the student that maybe she might have felt a little bit annoyed. I mean, is that not disturbing?
For me, it's okay that it's disturbing because it's something that happens and it's always on the
Margin.
border. Yes, between like being something helpful for the singing, and on the other hand, it can be too personal. I wasn't trying to say that there is anything wrong about what he's doing, but there is something which is like
raises questions.
There are these borders between the too much personal and the work are all the time crossing, physical and emotional. I was in some of the lessons. Also the emotional stage of the student, the emotional situation was also on the border, which is like sometimes a bit too. Can be. You could think that it's just maybe too much to put the student in such a emotional situation. So it's just something very interesting about this world, which is always personal. It's always personal, and it's always you cannot put it like you cannot divide it into the work and the personal. It's just combined together. Yeah.
Donc tout d'abord revenir sur la première question posée sur la situation actuelle. Alors la dernière fois qu'il a vu les enseignants, c'était pour une projection en janvier à Düsseldorf. Donc rien depuis, mais reste en contact avec des étudiants depuis le temps diplômés. Et c'est très difficile pour eux de trouver du travail, étant donné que les opéras sont fermés et que plus personne ne peut sortir voir un spectacle culturel, un événement culturel. Et disait que oui, ils essayaient de chanter sur Zoom, mais que bon, c'était pas l'idéal. Et pour finir sur si la proximité physique ou voire même émotionnelle était un peu dérangeante, pour le réalisateur, il n'y a aucun problème à ce que ce soit dérangeant. Donc, puisque bon, on peut considérer que ce soit aux limites de l'éthique, mais voilà, c'est de la morale, mais c'est toujours dans ce métier-là, il considère que c'est toujours personnel, qu'on ne peut pas séparer le professionnel de la vie personnelle, que tout est combiné.
Monique, peut-être encore une question?
Je voulais
une dernière
simplement
question.
remercier. Thank you very much for making us understand a little bit more, and I think that there's something like Socrates in the way you make things come out gradually. You know, as Socrates asked questions, but he knew exactly the answers, and just as teachers have to make the students find their own voice and their own feelings, you made us understand, and it's absolutely fascinating. Thank you
very much. Thank you very much for your interest and for showing it, and I enjoyed talking to you, and thank you, Molly, for the translation.
You're welcome.
Bon, eh bien, merci à vous, Itai Maron, pour avoir participé à cette interview. Merci, Monique, pour les questions. Et moi aussi, je remercie Molly pour les traductions. Merci de nous avoir tous suivis. On se retrouve, je crois, vers 16h30 pour le prochain débat. Voilà, et ça sera encore de la musique. À tout à l'heure.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Thank you very much.